Hello and welcome to the State of the Fleet Industry, a weekly video series produced by Automotive Fleet magazine. I'm Mike Antich, editor of Automotive Fleet, and today I'd like to examine what's occurring in the fleet industry for the week of June 15th. The good news is that as of last week, June 8th, all OEM assembly plants in the U.S. are now operational. The last of the plants to open were Nissan's massive complex in Smyrna, Tennessee, and Volvo's plant in Ridgeville, South Carolina. And although there have been production shortages and supply chain constraints, the ramp up to restarting the automotive production in the U.S. has gone remarkably well. And the other good news in the past week is that retail sales have been surprisingly strong for the month of May. So while you have these two pieces of good news, you need to place it in context, and when you do so, you realize the fleet industry still has a long way to go on its road to recovery. And this really hits home when you look at fleet sales for the month of May 2020 and compare it against May 2019. Now, admittedly, it's not an apple for apple comparison because in May 2020, we were just recommencing production and it was a slow ramp up. But the difference is when you compare the 2 months year over year, the differences are very sobering. So let's look at the three fleet segments. First, commercial fleet sales. Commercial fleet sales for May 2020 were down 69% compared to same time last year. Rental sales were down an unbelievable 91%, and government sales were down 61% in May 2020 compared to May 2019. And now as we're entering the summer months, the 2020 model year is now winding down, and soon order banks will be open for 2021 model year ordering. And the question is now, what will be the impact of the pandemic or hopefully post-pandemic period on next model year ordering by commercial fleets? So based on Automotive Fleet's survey of commercial fleet buying intentions, it appears that commercial fleets should remain with ordering at pre-COVID levels, and some say possibly even higher. Now, realistically, there are a number of commercial fleets that will be ordering fewer vehicles in model year 2021, especially those in distressed industries such as oil and gas, hospitality, and other service industries. However, the majority of surveyed fleets said that they plan to continue their planned replacement schedules, and their ordering volume should be at pre-pandemic levels. In fact, there are a group of companies that anticipate their number of vehicles that they acquire in 2021 may be even greater than planned, because many of these will include spring 2020 orders that were never built. So while there are many negative aspects to COVID-19 and the pandemic, the one positive sign has been that fleet operating costs have declined 20 to 70%. Now this varies by company between March of this year to today, June 2020. And this is primarily because most non-essential fleets were mandated by state governments to shelter in place, idling their fleet vehicles. And most of the decline in operating costs that occurred during this 3-month period were attributable to lower fuel expenses because of less gallons of fuel consumed and, at the time, lower retail prices at the pump. But we've also witnessed declines in other operating cost areas such as replacement tires, maintenance costs, toll payments, all of which are directly attributable to the slowdown in business activity and less miles accumulated by these fleet vehicles. So with the balance of the time left in this presentation, I like to examine what's happening elsewhere in the fleet industry, and I like to do so in a lightning round type format, just bullet points going through these individually. One, the big thing that's happening, and I touched upon this earlier in our video series, uncertainty is re-emerging into the marketplace, especially as forecasters are looking forward as to what might be happening in the third and fourth quarter of this year. An important barometer is going to be the job report for the month of June 20. This was contrasted with the job report of May 2020, which was surprisingly strong. The question now is, what will be the job report for 2020? And we don't have long to wait. It's going to be released in a couple weeks, and we should have the actual report before us on July 2nd. So that will speak volumes as to which direction the industry and, more importantly, the broader economy is heading. So while uncertainty continues to exist within the fleet industry, there continues to be many positive indicators. As I mentioned in the past, fuel prices continue to be low, interest rates are extremely low, and in fact, in recent news, the Federal Reserve has stated that it is committed to keeping interest rates at its current levels through 2022. So that's 2 years from now. Other areas where there's good news is in the wholesale used vehicle market, and the supply of used vehicles in the wholesale market has been declining, which is good news because now vehicle inventory is reaching equilibrium with buyer demand. So historically, normal inventory levels in the wholesale market for vehicles remarketed to dealers has been a 23-day supply. So that's the normal rate. So as of this month, the day supply was 34 days. So it's a good decline. But to give you an idea as to how much improvement this actually represents, as recently as April 9th, wholesale supply of vehicles in the market peaked at 149 days. So we've gone from 149 days down within a 2-month period down to 34 days. So a remarkable move, a remarkable testament on the wholesale auction industry on moving vehicles through that channel. The other area and final area that I like to discuss is dealing with conferences. And one of the things that's happened is all of the first quarter conferences were rescheduled for the summer time frame and third quarter. Now, more and more of these rescheduled conferences are now canceling their physical conferences and proceeding with virtual conferences. And examples include AFLA, the Automotive Fleet and Leasing Association, and IARA, the International Automotive Remarketers Alliance. However, there is one bellwether conference that will be coming up, and that is the conference that's being produced this September by the National Independent Automobile Dealers Association. Now, they've had a lot of internal discussions as to whether to go with a virtual conference. This conference in September was already rescheduled. It was originally scheduled to take place in June this month. It was rescheduled to September, and they ultimately decided to go ahead with the conference as originally planned, and they will have a physical conference in Las Vegas, September 21 to 24th in Las Vegas. And to the best of my knowledge, this will be the first industry conference that will actually take place since the start of the pandemic. So we wish them the best of luck and a successful conference because I think it will be an important bellwether as to what to expect in the 2021 calendar year. Another bellwether conference is SEMA, and SEMA stands for the Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association. They hold a massive conference every November in Las Vegas. And to give you an idea as to how large it is, in 2019, 60,000 people attended their conference. So again, an important bellwether conference, and if that conference, along with NIDA, are successes, my prediction is that it will be a turning point, and we'll start to see the reemergence of physical conferences in our industry. And another bellwether is shortly thereafter, after the holidays, January 6th through 9th of 2021 will be the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. And that's even bigger than all of these. That in 2019 was attended by 175,000 people. So those three shows, if successful, will be great harbingers as to the reemergence of physical conferences in our industry in 2021. So Let's hope that these conferences are successful. Let's hope that there's no second wave of COVID-19 and that people start traveling again. And I'm confident that they will be successful and they will open up the floodgates to recommence physical conferences in the year 2021. When you think about it, Fleet is a relationship business, and there's no better place to develop relationships, to deepen relationships than industry conferences. And everyone I talk to misses industry conferences, especially me. So let's wish them the best of luck. And this concludes my State of the Industry presentation for the week of June 15th. And I want to thank you for listening and watching.